capacity of manager at National Payments Corporation of India. She would be sharing a presentation on the issue on the subject matter of smart digital payment solution. So, without wasting much time, over to you, Swati, uh, to take it forward.
I'm part of a UPI product team at NPCI, and thank you all for the session, for coming in the session, and thank you again for having me here today to discuss and talk on eRUPI prepaid voucher, which is much discussed solution nowadays. So eRupee voucher basically is it was launched recently by our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi himself on 2nd of August, and in his words itself, the trust and kind of confidence which he has shown on the solution. It mentioned that e-rupee voucher will play a huge role in making direct benefit transfer more effective and will give a new dimension to digital governance today. So it's a kind of confidence and trust which he has shown on the solution, and that has been proven true as well, because the very first use case which we launched was the vaccination drive which we are having today across the country. So there are around 2,000 corporates who have joined hand to use this platform to distribute, vaccination e-voucher using e-rupee to around 2 lakh plus beneficiaries. So let me just present what exactly is the e-rupee, what the kind of problem statement is trying to solve, and how it works actually. So if in case there are corporates who are willing to make a use of it, what exactly they have to do. So as a vision, eRupee basically is the digital payment solution which is end-to-end digital from the time of issuance till the time of actual redemption. It's an end-to-end cashless and digital solution which is for the government and the private organization for them to use if in case they want to come forward to sponsor multiple various kind of benefits or services to the end beneficiary. So this solution perfectly fits for all such requirements because it ensures the optimum process. It's basically end-to-end in time, the end-to-end digital, as I mentioned. There are no much steps involved. It's basically a two-step process for the creation of the voucher or creation of the e-rupee as well the redemption of the e-rupee. As I mentioned, it is well defined, or it's kind of it's a controlled solution where the purpose and the and the person for whom the e-rupee has been issued has been can be controlled at the time of issuance itself. So it's basically a purpose and the person specific solution where any such corporates who want to benefit the beneficiaries or the kind of citizens for specific purpose only, this can be well achieved using this solution. So it's a targeted, a leak-proof delivery solution. Um again because it's an end-to-end digital solution, banks have the simplified form of onboarding the corporates and the process which they have to follow. It has a minimum cost to get corporates and the government entities to make themselves enable for such kind of solution. So the vision is to have a kind of, so this basically ensures, or it promises to have a kind of potential solution where such kind of activities, such kind of sponsorship by the private organization at a huge scale can be ensured within the solution. In very simple terms, if I have to say to make somebody understand in a very simple language, it's like similar to a normal voucher which a beneficiary may have today, but it has multiple advantages over in that existing solution which we have in the market. Going with some of those advantages, that why we should be knowing about eRupee and what kind of benefit it adds to the ecosystem today. Firstly, because today for any payments one have to make, or for any kind of such subsidies to receive or such kind of benefit to receive, a beneficiary need to have account, or it may also need to have kind of apps installed on his phone, or the beneficiary may need to have SMS banking registered, customer. The mobile number of the customer need to be registered in the bank account. So all those prerequisite which is needed for the normal or the other payments mode which are there today, all those prerequisites are not required in case a beneficiary want to have the rupee. or if corporates want to distribute eRUPI vouchers to such beneficiaries. So all those basic requirements that we had today, like like the KYC also for the beneficiary, so all those requirements are not at all required here. So for any for any such use cases, for any such beneficiaries, the only requirement cross the expiry time period, it will, the amount which is there available in the voucher will go to the original account, the account of the sponsor which is there, or which was used to create such e-voucher, it will go back to that account. So in that terms, it ensures that there is no misuse of the e-voucher, the purpose for which it was created, and for the person for whom the voucher was created has been decided at the time of issuance of such vouchers. So that ensures that the purpose of the voucher for which it has been issued has been met. It's contactless and cashless. Looking at the today's requirement to have the contactless payment solution, we have ensured that there is no touch point or there is no physical contact required during the complete end-to-end life cycle or the value chain of the eRUPI, starting from the issuance to redemption. It's a cashless end-to-end. Again, it's a safe and secured because it rides on the 2FA factor which is required today for a normal financial transaction as the mandatory regulatory requirement. In the solution here also, when a beneficiary goes to redeem the voucher, there is a validation happens. There's a validation happens for the beneficiary who carries that voucher. So in that terms, it is secured solution. And again, there's no personal data which is required to be shared by the beneficiary at any point in time during the redemption. So we have tried to solve the problem statements which are today there in the existing world, in the digital payments world, using this eRUPI. So now, what the stakeholders will get, like when a private organization or the government organization comes, just a second.
Uh,
And sorry for the technical glitches which we had. So coming back to the original point where we were, like what are the features? How eRUPI is helping ecosystem, in terms of delivering benefits to the end customer. Is I'll just summarize again that firstly it is a one-time used voucher to ensure that this was not misused. And again, if the voucher or the eRUPI which has been issued to the customer, if it is not used at all, it crosses the amount which is there in the eRUPI, the amount provision for in that eRUPI will go back in the original account, the account which was used to issue the voucher. It's a person and purpose specific voucher because the control which is there as a part of solution, where the purpose of the vouchers will be defined, and also the person for whom the voucher has been issued is also defined. So that kind of solutioning is there, where the control is in the bank's in the bank's hand. It's again end-to-end contactless and a cashless solution, which is the today's requirement. It is safe and secured. It is in lines of the 2FA requirement today, which we have for the financial transaction. So which is going to redeem the eRUPI will also be verified at the time of redemption to ensure that no one else other than the person for whom the voucher has been issued is using the voucher. And again, during the transaction life cycle or during the value chain, there's no need of sharing the personal data by the beneficiary to get the voucher redeemed. So the basic problem statement which are there today in the ecosystem in terms of the digital payment, we are trying to solve using the eRUPI. Now, the problem statement today, what in terms of the stakeholders who are part of the eRUPI ecosystem, like for the organization or the private entities, they are coming forward to use the eRUPI to ensure that the benefit which they want to sponsor reaches to the customer. The beneficiary who accepts the voucher, it's very convenient for them. It's very easy for them and safe for them to use the e-voucher. And the service provider, the vaccination which is there.
uh, Sorry to intervene, ladies and gentlemen. And Swati, I think we are not able to view your presentation. So I'll pause the session, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a short while. Sorry for the technical inconvenience caused.
Thank you again, Vivek. Coming back to the point on the slide, let me talk about what is the end-to-end flow which the corporate has to follow today, and how the value chain for the eRupee which works. So now the corporates who have decided to issue the voucher to the beneficiaries, what it will do, it will just share the information to the bank. This information or this request will be forwarded to the NPCI to issue the voucher. So it basically it's a to and fro process happening between the corporates and the NPCI via the bank to issue the voucher. There is an API call happening between the bank and the NPCI. So this process, once it get confirmed that the voucher which has been requested for has been successfully issued or successfully created, the confirmation goes back to the corporates via the bank. And once the corporate receives the confirmation of creation of eRupee, they distribute this voucher in the form of the voucher QR or in the form of SMS string to the beneficiary. So as I mentioned, for this eRupee to have, the corporate or the beneficiary may need not to have a smartphone, because the solution ensures that the voucher can be distributed to the end beneficiary in the form of SMS string as well. So anybody who is having a featured phone can also receive or can also have this e-voucher for the redemption. So once this e-voucher has been received to the beneficiary, you can see on the slide that's on step 4, the customer or the beneficiary goes for the identified goes to the identified merchant for the services for which he has to redeem the voucher, and then at that location at the merchant outlet, what it does, it just simply displays the voucher to the merchant who is enabled for the acceptance of eRupee. Once it is scanned by the merchant, the beneficiary get the verification code on the phone, which is basically for the purpose to verify whether the person who is showing the eRupee is a genuine person. So once the verification code is received, the beneficiary enters this in the merchant on the merchant interface to validate the code. And once the code has been verified, the request for redemption gets triggered by the merchant. So that's a very simple steps, which is required to redeem the voucher by the beneficiary. So in the terms of the solution or the process which we have, it's a simple two-step process for both issuance and the redemption. Now, let me just throw some light on the recent use case or the first use case which was launched recently, which is the vaccination here. So now let's take an example to understand it better. Like there's some a beneficiary named Ramila for whom the corporate want to provide the vaccine. The corporate want that the Ramila go and get her vaccination done on the nearby vaccine centers. Now before this eRupee coming into picture, the only option to the corporate was either to send money to the Ramila's account, for which the Ramila need to have the bank account. And the second option could be that Ramila goes and pays from her pocket and then come back and get it reimbursed by the corporate. So that was the broadly two options available today. But now what is happening with the eRupee solution in place, the corporates can now simply issue the eRupee voucher on Ramila's phone number, and Ramila can just go and simply redeem on the vaccine centers, and the money will be directly credited into the vaccine center's account. For the vaccination he has given done for the Ramila. So here the corporate has ensured that the eRupee voucher which has been issued is being used by Ramila only, and it has been used for the purpose of vaccination only. So there's no option for the Ramila to use it for any other purpose than the vaccination, because the checks and the control are there in the solution at the back end. So now let go to the step by step process. What happens exactly is when the corporates decides to sponsor Ramila's vaccine, what it does, it just identifies the bank who is already eRupee enabled bank at NPCI. It shares the basic information about voucher, like the name of the Ramila, the contact number, the amount, and the purpose of the voucher. This request simply at step 2 comes to the bank, to the NPCI via the bank, and the confirmation of the issuance, the confirmation of successful issuance of the voucher goes back to corporate. Now, once this is done, so now once this is done, the redemption process starts. The Ramila goes to the identified merchant location or the vaccine center. They just simply displays the voucher which you want to use for the vaccination, for the payment of the vaccination, and then the once she displays the voucher to the vaccine center, scan the voucher, capture the information available in the voucher, and then there is a verification code which comes on the Ramila's phone number, which is used for the verification of Ramila's, and then the voucher has been gets redeemed. And post this successful message comes to the merchant. The merchant, provides vaccination shot to the Ramila. So in simple terms, again, the only thing that Damila had to do is just to get the voucher on his phone. She could be a feature phone, and just she has to go and scan, display the eRUPI to the merchant to get it scanned. There's only so in that sense, it's very convenient and two-step process for Damila to ensure that she pays using eRUPI for the vaccination shot which she wanted to have. So this was one of the use case which is already live and is available to be used by the corporates. And as of today, we have almost around 2,000 corporates already enabled for the solution, which they have already started distributing such vouchers to the end beneficiary, and they're already started participating actively on the platform. Now that was one of the use case which we had. Other than that, there are many more use cases which are lined up, which are in pipeline, which are in discussions. Um, just to give you more idea about the upcoming or the kind of use case which are in discussion. One of those is a gift voucher, where the corporate can simply distribute the gift voucher using the eRUPI platform of NPCI, and the same can be distributed to the end beneficiary using the mobile number, or it could be any digital mode. It could be festive voucher as the Diwali season are approaching. The corporates can come forward to distribute the festive vouchers to their employees or to their families, to make use of this voucher for the identified purpose. Similarly, we can, the corporates can also have the entertainment vouchers given to their corporate, for the use for the purpose of their redemption. So these are some of the use cases which I wanted to, bring into your knowledge, which can be further explored and which can be further, made use of for the for the betterment of the the society. Having said that, I again just want to summarize few of the points, on the kind of ecosystem readiness which we have today. Like we launched this product in August, and now today, as per the ecosystem readiness is concerned, there are almost all the major banks who are already a part of this solution, and we have around 2,000 merchants already enabled for the vaccination, to accept eRUPI for the vaccination. And we have almost around couple of major aggregators also playing a role here to onboard such merchant. So this was just an update which I wanted to share. So that's all from my end. Over to you, Vivek.
Thank you, Swati, for your presentation. Also, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A tab on the right hand side of your screen. So you may like to go through the questions which have been asked. So I'll quickly spell out the questions. One of the users, Mr. Dilip Sharma, wants to know how does the merchant gets the repayment for the voucher.
So thank you, Dilip, for asking this question. So here also the merchant, what happens is that merchant when it redeems the voucher, once it get the real-time confirmation that voucher has been successfully redeemed, the funds get credited to the merchant account. This is as per the agreement which is between the merchant and the sponsor bank, who has onboarded the merchant on the eRUPI platform. Normally, it's always normally not beyond T+1, as normal arrangement between the banks and the merchant for the credit to happen. So like if the redemption has happened today, maximum by tomorrow the credit can happen in the merchant account. In most of the cases, again, it's a real time also. Like the same day, also the merchant get the credit in their account. So that depends upon the agreement between the merchant and the banks at the time of onboarding.
Okay, so this would be the last question since we have overshot by time. So this would be the last question, ladies and gentlemen. So Swati, Supratik Nag, Vice President HSBC, wants to know the details on validation mechanism at the beneficiary end or at the usage end. So if you could throw some light on that.
Thank you, sir, for asking this question. The validation which happened at the time of redemption at the beneficiary end, it's basically a verification code which comes at the beneficiary's phone number, the phone number which was used at the time of issue of the voucher. The same phone number the beneficiary receives the code, and once this code is shared with the merchant, because the merchant has the interface to redeem the voucher, and once it get verified, only then the voucher is, the merchant will request for the redemption of that voucher. So that checks and control is there, that till the time it is being beneficiary is validated, and also the voucher itself is getting, validated at the back end before the redemption. So these two are the steps which are, which are required before actually redeeming the voucher. One is the beneficiary validation, and second is the validation of the voucher itself, whether it is not redeemed already or whether it is not expired. So those kind of basic checks are there in place to ensure that there is no misuse of the voucher.
Thank you, Swati. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the discussion. For any further queries, I have posted Swati's email ID in the chat box. So, in case of any further queries, you may directly reach out to Swati for your queries. Because of lack of time, we would unfortunately have to end this session. Thank you, Swati, for taking out
Thank
your
you.
valuable time and sharing your insights, NPCI's insights on this particular issue. I
Thank
would
you. Thank
like to thank all the participants who were pretty active and engaging in terms of posting their queries and questions. I would also, summing up the session, I would also like to thank our sponsors and our partners for this session, Razor Pay, Amazon Pay, WhatsApp, in association with Google Pay, Open Financial Technologies, and Cash Free Payments. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.